Hello, everyone, and welcome to Balboa Park episode 14. If it's the first time you happen to listen to this podcast, I am Nicoz Balboa. I am an Italian, French-based trans man, and I do tattoos and graphic novels and graphic journaling classes on Patreon. Before we start, remember to activate the notification wherever you are listening this podcast to by following, and maybe you can also leave a little review. Before we start, I'm waiting for you. Let's do this. Okay, it's the second episode of 2024, but actually is the first one I'm recording, because the other one I did record it like at the end of December, and if you didn't listen to it, it was all about the graphic journaling practice, and I did the class I was talking about, and now I found a way. Like Patreon is the platform that I use to gather the students, and we meet there, and from there you can pay your subscription and watch your replay and have the infos about the Zoom link from which we do the class each month. And now they add a feature so that you can sell digital products. And so what's happening is that last class we did, last Sunday, the class to start in a cool way and setting the intention for the new year. Now it's available to purchase even if you are not a subscriber. And it's like $15. And if you are a subscriber, it's free. But if you don't want to subscribe because you don't want to catch the replay, you don't want the community, you don't want to, you don't want to come to the live class, you just want to cherry pick once in a while, and come on patreon.com/graphic journal club, and just in the shop section, you can just take this class. Thank you for listening. This was a little ad sponsored by me for myself. If you are listening this because you are a Substack subscriber and you receive my newsletter, you already know that I'm in the process of starting my new book. I already talked about my previous book. I'm not going to do it again because I don't want to bore you, but if you have some doubt about things I'm talking about, you can probably just go to my website, nicozbalboastudio.com, and there you can check my previous book. Anyway, I do graphic novels. I often do some sort of autofictions. My last book, Transformer, also had this cool and prestigious prize of Book of the Year to a big comic festival in Italy, the Lucca Comics, and it's some kind of big deal, even if I didn't realize it, but even still now, sometimes I have people, oh, you got the prize, how is it going, how your life has changed, do you have so much book proposal and much work? And no, it's not. I had, few proposal for podcast, even in mainstream media in Italy. The thing is, like, it doesn't change because they are not paid gig. I guess nothing has changed, but I am happy because it's cool when you work so much on something and then you got a prize. I didn't think that it would make me happy, but actually it's cool. It's a cool sensation. It's like, oh, cool. You actually read my book and enjoy it at the point that you give me a prize. Oh, this is cool. But this this Christmas holiday, this season holiday, I spent the Christmas with my mom. She came all the way from Italy, and we went in Lesignac-Durand, which is a very small village in the west of France, where my partner live half of the time with their best friend, and it's a very cool place. And we went there for the Christmas Eve, and was a mix of friends and family. And it was cool, but it was like when I came back in La Rochelle with my mother and my daughter, and we had a week of wandering around, touristing around La Rochelle and Ile de Ré. Ile de Ré is an island just in front of La Rochelle. You can go there by a bus because there is a bridge now, and it's some kind of another. It's like La Rochelle and Ile de Ré. They are like two different neighbors, but they are very. You can go there by bike, for example, biking. And it was a cool week, but very exhausting because I realized I love too much. I always talk about this in the podcast. If you listen it, you already know I love to be alone. And also I've been taking notes for my next book for maybe more than a year now. And the more the weeks and the days pass, I was gathering ideas in the same. I took ideas in the notes of my telephone, like even for the podcast, everything I have in my notes of the telephone. I have so many notes with all different kind of memos and ideas. It's a very old school way to take ideas now that we have all kind of app and artificial intelligence, all kind of things. But I'm going like this. So I just needed to have the perfect time to just go into myself, into my mind. I don't know how to say, and start giving a structure to the idea of the book. The thing is that despite my price, despite the fact that I do this since forever and I do comics and zine, and now I'm publishing in Italy and my book is translated in France, I'm still not a full-time author. I don't know if it's my problem, if it's a block in my mind, or if it's economy, or if it's the way I used to drive my career. Actually, I don't know for now. Maybe I will discover later in therapy, but for now, I'm just never give enough credit to the fact that I actually can do graphic novels, and I never put anything in place in order to make it my full-time job. And so for a long time, my full-time job has been tattooing, and it's cool. I like it, but in this period of time, post-COVID, I don't know if it's my generation, my age. I don't know if it's post-COVID, if it's war, and the stress we are in with the conflict we can see in the news. And it's like tattooing. I tattoo a lot when I go to Paris. I already talked about it in a previous episode. I will stop saying this about the previous episode. If you listen, you have listened, and if not, it's okay. But in La Rochelle, I don't work so much. I have some work, but I don't know, maybe I don't want. I'm still not sure what's happening And so the job was supposed to be my full time and alimenter, I don't know to say, gaining money for the house job. It's very slow those days. And also, like, I have this driven, like, sometimes I have spare time, and instead of, for example, drawing tattoo flash, or I don't know, communicate around my tattoo, I like to dig into the graphic journaling rabbit hole. I'm all about this those days. I love doing this. I love doing the class with the people who come on Zoom or also at Strangeland, and I like doing this. I took this class this summer of graphic journal. No, sorry, art therapy counselor, and I'm all about this. So I'm spinning on my plate, keeping up my tattoo career, but while nurturing this idea I have of having also this career in art therapy with the graphic journaling. But in the meantime, those are two gaining money careers. And in the meantime, that are freelance careers, so they take a lot of space. And like entrepreneur brain is something, and I don't like to have it, but sometimes you must have it. And in the middle of all this, I have my drive to do my books, and I love doing this. So those I was trying to make it in my brain to plan how to start, how to have the time. And so just right after New Year's Eve, my mother left and on December 30 or 31. And then I have New Year's Eve with my friend Mimi in La Rochelle. It was very quiet. And then my daughter was at the party. And then I spent the January 1st with my daughter in a chill way. But then my daughter went to her father. And so I had a whole week all alone. My partner and my dog were in Lesignac. My daughter were at the other parent. No family, no tattoo shop because the tattoo shop was closed until yesterday for the Christmas time. And so I enjoyed this moment of being all alone and just being able to concentrate on what I like to do is like drawing and telling stories. This is no mystery that since forever I like blogging, I like newsletter, I like comics, doing graphic journals, and also even the podcast now. I like telling things, telling stories. And so I was like, yes, I can start my book. I have this week, which is, of course, is not enough. For example, my last book, Transformer, took me more than 1 year to finish. And also maybe because I have to make big session, maybe I have 1 week, maybe once a month in which I only do this the whole day from 7 in the morning to 1 a.m. And then I have to go back to my paying bills jobs. Yesterday I was in therapy and I was saying, if I have a magic wand, maybe what I would like to do is like having nothing practical to do. No paying bills, no doing the dishes or cooking the meals, just drawing. And I have all sorts of people around me who do all the things. But it was a fun statement to say, but luckily it's something I would think about me, but luckily therapy is there to go dig a little bit deeper. And I also realized that it's not really true because I also like to have the how do you call it, the balance between being all alone and being like the Queen of England. No, now it's like the king. Like, someone who you don't have to do anything only you can, all people do things for you. And actually it's not Queen or King of England, but of Great Britain. I don't know what to say. But the more I dig in the therapy, and I realized no, because I also like those moments in which I had this vision for Strangeland, which is my tattoo shop, but I would like it to be a place where we can create, where we can sell a zine, when we can do workshop. And this is a whole other episode. Today I came here to talk about the creative process of starting my book. I took so many turns while telling this, thanks to the ADHD brain. And if you read the newsletter, letter, how do you pronounce it? Newsletter, no, letter, I don't know. You already seen some of the videos, and I wanted to use this episode to talk about how I realize I approach doing my graphic novels. What do I do? I didn't know I had a process the first time. The first time my Born to Lose book, which is only available now through my website because it's out of catalog in Italy, uh, because it's like a book. It's like my graphic journal selected and turned into a book. It's cool. Rights with my old publisher were about to expire, and I didn't want to continue letting them the rights to my book. I have nothing against my first publisher. It's just like that we didn't connect very much, and I wasn't. There were no human interaction with them, and so I take back the rights, and also I feel comfortable this book to don't be in bookstore anymore, and I have the last few copies if you want in my not tattoo shop, in my e-shop, on my website. Anyway, so there were no writing process in there. The writing process was keeping a graphic journal every day for 3 years and then select the pages. But then for Play with Fire was the first time I had this. I wanted to tell this story, and I couldn't manage to just start and drawing and then see where the storytelling of the drawing we will take me. It was the first time I realized that just drawing as I experienced the narration, it couldn't be something I related anymore, because I can't draw fast enough, and I needed to pick up my brain and write down all the ideas before starting drawing. So what I did, it was like I started writing and writing in the note of my telephone. Of course, I started writing it while I was at the airport, because I had this. I saw this exhibition, and I wanted about. Maybe you already know the stories, but I was a closeted trans man, and there was so much thing going on in my heart, in my belly, in my brain. And then I was in Bologna, and I went to this exhibition called the Transitional States, organized by uh, Professor Chiara Beccalossi, which is also the instigator for LGBT plus History Month in Italy. And she also has a podcast about the LGBT plus history in Italy. Anyway, she organized this exhibition called Transitional States, and I didn't see it already in England. I don't remember. I see it twice. I guess first time in England, in London, and second time in Bologna, or vice versa. I don't remember. But the time I was in Bologna, and and I saw it, and there were a video from the two trans activists and artists, Fox Fisher and Owl, Ugla Stefania, that I don't know, get strike, how do you say, a chord inside of me, and I feel I am so trans, and I need to write this down. I need to tell this story to understand who I am, and also to create something that exists also for people who comes after me. And so I started writing in my notes. So when I came back in La Rochelle, I was traveling, and the travel Bologna, La Rochelle, it was like, I guess I took, so CO2 imprint, it's very big at the time, but I guess I took a plane and then a train. Anyway, it was, when I ride at night, I started from the morning, and I had write all the ideas of the book, and then I started, then I printed the text, and then I had this on those pages, and then I started highlighting and see what did I have, and I have those print papers, and I started sketching the layouts of the pages. And at the time I put all together, and I remember having those, those plastic sheets in which you put your paper sheet inside, and then you have little holes, and you can put it in a big folder. uh, and so I could actually see pages being sketched in the layout, and I put them in the plastic sheets and then in the folder and so on. And then I have this folder full of all the sketches in the order, all the book. And then I was, okay, I have a book. And so I wrote to my publisher, my new publisher. At the time, it was my publisher, it's Igort, and he was the director of the All Publishing, where I did my book, Born to Lose. And he was the person who wanted Born to Lose to be published. And when my book, Born to Lose, came out, he went away as a creative director of this publishing, and then opened another publisher. And he said to me, when are you doing the second book? And so I already had this assurance, and this gave me, I felt so secure in creating, because I knew that I was creating also because then it will be a publisher waiting for me and supporting me and believing in my work, almost like blindly, because I guess he knows what he likes. But at the time, I just did this first book, and so I remember at the time sketching all the sketches, the layout, and then writing to him, okay, I have the second book, I'm ready, this is the story and all this. And he said, okay. And it took me, like, say, maybe 1 year to finish, because then what I did, I started cleaning up my sketches, my layouts. And so what I did is I went back to page one, and each page I took it and then I trace it on nice watercolor paper, and cleaning it and coloring it. I guess that I remember working for Play with Fire, like cleaning a page and then put it aside, and maybe waiting to arrive to something like 5 to 10 pages of inking, and then starting the coloring. Because since I work in watercolor, but I don't use the hair dryer. Some of people who draw, artists who draw with watercolor, use an hair dryer to dry the watercolor. And I only what I like to do is like doing multiple drawings and coloring at the time, so that the color has the time to dry on his own. And I like this because I like errors that this can bring, because sometimes you do a colors and then the colors maybe make your the inking stain, or they mix together in a weird way, and I like this. I like the error. And so I went on drawing and drawing and coloring and inking. And in a moment, I find myself with so many drawings that I needed to go buy another folder. And I remember the first folder I used, it was a yellow one. I guess I had it at home, I don't remember. And so I went and buy another yellow folder. And then while I was drawing, I realized I needed another folder. You know, the big folder with um, iron rings. Uh, they are often used for when for your accounting. When you do your taxes, then you fold all your receipts in there, so they are very big. At the end of the making of my book, Play with Fire, I had three of these full, one with the sketches, with the layouts, and two with the finishing of the book. And I remember, guess at the moment, have to put 2 pages in each plastic sheet, because I didn't have enough space. And yeah, I didn't know it was a method of mine. I just did this and then I put it back. Back 2 years ago, during the Christmas holiday between 2021 and 2022, my daughter was spending the whole Christmas at her father, and I was with my dog, and I didn't want to go in Italy without my daughter, and I just had this dog, and I didn't want to scare him, to leaving him. And I don't remember my partner where, I don't remember at their family. And I spent for the first time in my life uh, Christmas all alone by choice, and I loved it. I guess that I could have the privilege to love it because I had the choice of being alone on Christmas. Maybe it's not the same for people who are alone not by choice. Anyway, I remember spending it these 2 weeks, like 1 week, one full week, writing, taking back my notes, because I was, of course, after Play with Fire, so far I'm talking about then a transformer, I did the same. Every time I had an idea, I started writing in my notes. Like I did the first time I did after this exhibition, you know, this transitional exhibition, trans-oriented exhibition. Back then I didn't have a method. I just pick up the notes, and I liked it so much that then I never stopped doing this. So I took notes for my book Transformer in my telephone, and what I also had as notes for this particular book was the graphic journal about my transition I was drawing for my Patreon and for my Instagram follower, especially the follower of the Instagram Momskin, because it's a more small and graphic journaling related, how do you call it? Related content. And so there I graphic journaled all my transition, or at the beginning of my transition. So even if you are curious about my book Transformer, you can find the proto ideas, the proto drawings about this, because the book is not translated in English, but the graphic journal about the sketch and the comic that I use them as an inspiration to do the book are actually in English. So you can go to instagram.com and the at is mom skin is like a mom, like a mom, a mother, and but like moleskin, you know, moleskin, the journals. And so it's like a funny way of, it's like, because I started this, you know, I have a teen daughter, and she calls me mom. And so this was the moleskin of the mom skin. You can read it there. Anyway, I took the notes, I took the this, and I remember how I did it for Play with Fire. So I went back to the store, like 4 years later. I went back to the store, and I bought a folder, and I bought plastic sheets, and I bought paper. And this time I changed the color in the folder, and I bought some kind of like greenish Tiffany green, and I draw, and in the same process my book, my Transformer book, the one who won even the award, even though I don't know why I can't manage to have it, none of my book translated in English. It's not my job to do, it's my publisher, but I guess they try, and it would be so cool to have my book translated in English. But for now, if you want to read me in English, it's on Substack and on Instagram and on Patreon. Do it yourself, best way to do it. Anyway, so flash forward to today and to last week, when I happened to have again 1 week of solitude. And so I was like, I feel so ready to start my next book. 2 years later, okay. And so I did two things, like printing the notes that were in my telephone about the ideas of the next book, and went to the store and buy a folder, buy the plastic sheets, buy the paper, and all the things that you already know. This time I have chosen a blue folder, uh, because then I realized, okay, there is a pattern here. I have a book with a yellow folders, and then I write after the other book, Transformer, and I bought these tile Tiffany green folders. So maybe I can manage to make it like a chromatic scale, you know, it will be an evolution in time and in color. I don't know if it's some. So I will be for now I have yellow and greenish and blue, and then I will see how many books I will do in my life. It will all depends if one day I will become a full-time author or not. For now, as I was talking at the beginning, I can only manage, my book takes me 1 year to make, and then also I have 1 year to focus back on my job to gain money, because I often accumulate a lot of debt while I'm doing my book. I always do this because I take this time off to do my book, but actually when you are a freelance or self-entrepreneur, when you take your time off, but you don't gain money, and so it always costs me a lot of debt when I go into those moments this year in which I do my book. I hope that this year will not be this way. Maybe I should apply for grant or things like this, but I can't manage to do this. I can observe and notice and work on my creative process, of my inner space and all the emotion, but I probably need to focus also more on the practical things, because for now it's very difficult for me to have this. Maybe I will need an assistant, somebody that tell me, don't worry, work, and I can do the admin stuff. Um, Maybe I should find an assistant with whom I can trade tattoos. If you want to get tattoo and you want to become my assistant to do my grants, please reach out to me. I'm joking, maybe not, I don't know. Anyway, so I this was the starting of my book journey. I still have didn't disclose the title because I don't sure if it's cool, if it's a genius title or if it's cringe. I still have not. I don't know. I'm just at the beginning. But anyway, I buy bought the folders, I bought the papers, I bought the plastic sheets and all the things, and I've spent last week sketching. But there is a novelty. How do you say in English? There is a new thing that it's happening. I will always be writing like even this book is some sort of autofiction, but I'm doing two things that I didn't do before. And one is having a part in which I have a research work in which every statement I'm talking about are supported by quoting books. It's something I never did because before it was maybe more personal, and now I want to mix the personal but also some kind of info. I don't want to say political, but I want to having other author and other intellectuals and other experience to back up my experience. And I also doing another things that I never did. It's like having two parallel stories, and one is mine and one is another figure, some author that I love that is dead now, and I'm using their journal and their info to make it a parallel stories with mine. I'm not sure if I have the right to do this, and I'm not sure if I will have the capacity to do this because it's, I don't know. I will talk about this, of course, in the future. Um, so this week was about starting sketching, but in a moment, I stopped in a moment because then I needed to continue start sketching the story which is not my story, and so I don't have the notes on the telephone to have the experience. What I'm doing is I'm taking this book and I'm rereading it. I have actually another edition of the book I read. I needed one other so that I can take in notes directly on the book. And then once I've gathered all the information I need, at least for this first part, I will probably start sketching and in the same way. I don't know. It's a very new thing, so I will keep you posted if you are interested in this. I guess it's all for today. If you didn't catch this episode arriving from my newsletter or from Substack, I invite you to go to Substack and subscribe, because there I'm also maybe posting, not maybe, I'm also posting like videos and photos of my work in progress. And I guess it will be fun. And at least I need it. I need to do it, this. In order to understand what I'm doing, I need to talk about this. Um, so, and if you maybe it's something you want to do, starting your own book, your own graphic novel, maybe we can talk about this. You can come and read it and leave me comments, and I can maybe try to answer your question. Okay, I'm don't forget I was saying in the beginning to subscribe and to share this podcast, this episode with somebody you know it will love it. And All the info you need are on my website anyway, nicozbalboastudio.com. And take care and talk to you very soon. Bye bye.